What's good, everybody? Rhetorical question in life. My name is Heavy Bree, and today I want to talk about how I wasted my 20s. This is your first time on my channel. Welcome to my channel, and if this is your 1,876th time on the channel, welcome back. Today I want to talk about how I wasted my 20s, and I hope if anybody is like who's watching this is under 20 years old, like you're still in your teens, you will greatly benefit from this video. I hope that you will greatly benefit from this video and heed my warnings. And if you're in your 20s right now, it is not too late for you to avoid these issues that stop me from that I created for myself, that stop me from becoming more successful sooner in my life. So that being said, let's get into it. So when I was about 20 years old, about 19, 20 years old, I joined the military, right? And before everyone jumps down my throat and be like, "Oh, you joined the military. Oh, you did this," and listen, look, all right. That life was not for me, and I knew it wasn't for me. In fact, I knew before I even joined that it wasn't for me. But it was a job that was secure. It was a job that helped me, get out of my grandparents' house. It was a job that let me have like a real job for the first time. I mean, I've had like other stuff that I did before, but like they weren't real jobs. They were just stuff. But like it was my first like full-time career job. And I knew I didn't like it before I even joined, because me personally, I'm the kind of person who does not like being told what to do. I don't like taking orders from people, and I don't got a problem with authority. I got a problem with people who get put into a position of authority and don't know how to handle it. And whether you're working in corporate America, the military, fast food joints, wherever you're going to work at, you're going to run into people. You're always going to run into people who are in a position of authority, who go a little overboard with what they do. And I ran into that a lot when I was in the service. I mean, but don't get me wrong. There were some good people I met while I was in the military. I met some pretty good people. Some of which I wish whose numbers I would have kept in touch with. Who I would have kept in contact with. Met some pretty cool, funny, interesting people, very talented people, and everything. But that lifestyle just wasn't for me. It was just the kind of thing that like I thought I had to do because, when you're a kid, you're being told you got to get a job. You got to get you have to have job security. You got to do this. You got to find something that is some kind of structure in your life, And the military, one thing, I will say this, I'm not going to trash the military. I will say this. It taught me, being in the military taught me how to think outside the box, how to be disciplined with my time, and how to, taught me a little bit of resilience, It taught me how to take things with a grain of salt, and it also, funnily, taught me how to basically not take everything so seriously, because, when you take everything in life too seriously, it can really mess you up, and it can, just, you gotta have you gotta maintain a sense of humor. And when I was in, I ran into a lot of people who were like really funny, both intentionally and unintentionally, and seeing all that kind of increased my sense of humor. And rather than just getting out after because when you join the military, we joined the Navy. I was in the Navy, U.S. Navy, for from 2011, November 2011 when I went to boot camp, and then I got out in 2021. Like about a month shy of 10 years. Like some people say, "Oh, we did 10 years." I'm like, "Nah, I was about a month off, but whatever." And but what really woke me up to realize that I was wasting my time was when I was talking to people who outranked me. Like in one of the ports we were on deployment, in 2020. We were stuck on deployment for like almost over a year. And when I was out there, sometimes we would have this thing called like beer on the pier, or we would stop in a port and we would get like we would like a Liberty port. Well, it wasn't really a Liberty port. We were just stuck on the pier. We couldn't go anywhere. It was in the Middle East, this place called Oman or something like that. Anyway, long story short, I asked people who were higher ranking than me. Some officers, some of them were officers, some of them were chiefs. And the question I asked them was, if it wasn't for your mortgage, your family, and your credit card debts, would you guys have stayed in the military? Would you have kept doing this job? And 99% of them, that 1% was just some Joe Navy type dude who, who just, I'm not going to talk about that. But the other 99%, they kept it real. They kept it real with me. They all kept it real. I asked all demographics, black, white, female. Some of them were young, some of them were older, some of them were like, damn near like almost ready for AARP. And those are the ones who I really listened to. The older ones are the ones I really listened to. I asked them each one separately from different occasions, because it was a huge pier, and there was a bunch of like, places where you can go sit and drink and do all this stuff. And I was sitting there talking to them, and I was asking them, let me ask you a question. If it wasn't for, taking care of your family, your mortgage, your car payments, your credit card debts, whatever bills you had and everything, would you have stayed in this long? And almost all of them said, you know what? No. Almost every single one I spoke to said no. I had to speak at least about 25, maybe 30 people. All of them were high ranking, but the ones who I really listened to were the older ones. They were all like, if I could go back, they would have just did their first tour and got out. And then I asked them, like, well, why didn't you get out? And they all said, like, they either got some chick pregnant, they made rank and bought a car they couldn't afford, and then they just kept like re-upping on the new car every year or two, because they got to have the new car. And some of them probably ended up getting married made rank quickly during their first tour, and they ended up basically marrying their sweetheart, and then come to find out their sweetheart wasn't so sweet. Come to find out the bitch was sour, and they ended up basically getting divorced, and then they had to pay alimony, so they don't have any other job skills, so they just stay in the military, just keep making rank. And then some of them had to pay child support, some of them had to pay child support, some of them still were still married, but they bought their family a home, and they had to pay those payments, and they had no other job skills. Basically, they had no freedom. And I was looking at my life at that time. I'm about 28, 29 years old. Yeah, I'm about 29 years old. And I'm looking at my life, and I'm like, bruh, like, almost everybody I know, or all these people I'm talking to, these high-ranking people that I'm aspiring to rank up to be as, all of them, because I also asked them, like, well, don't you like your job? And they said they like the camaraderie, or they like a few of them said that they like the camaraderie, but most of them just said, hey man, it's a job, it's stable, And I'm not speaking on behalf of everybody who's in the military, who's high ranking, okay? Not everybody thinks like this, okay? But there are a huge chunk of people who get into jobs. At first they basically they like it, like they're green, and they just, they're fresh, and they want to and they make that part of their lifestyle. But as some people get older, and the rose tinted glasses start to kind of get deteriorate and everything, once the rose tinted glasses come off, you start to see that, damn, I just threw away my life for something that I don't really care about. And how I screwed up my 20s is I knew what I wanted to be. Well, at the time I didn't know about truck driving. My grandfather had been a truck driver, but yeah, my granddad had been a truck driver, and he never told me about, because I think he did like mostly just the SoCal area. He had been driving. He knew how to drive. He had a CDL. He knew how to drive semi trucks. So since he was a kid, so he kind of just stuck with truck driving since he was a kid and everything. But I never asked my granddad what he wanted to be when he grew up and everything. But like he passed away last year. Never got to have that kind of conversation with him. But I knew what I wanted to be, and I'm making that happen this year. I could have made that happen while I was in the military. I made it, and that's another reason why I screwed up my life. Not by just picking the wrong career and staying in it, and choosing job security over my dreams, which is part of it. But it was also just following other people's blueprint that didn't match the success story that I wanted. I was looking at other people around me, like I said, some of those people were high-ranking, officers and chiefs and other NCOs, and at the time I was I was eligible to make rank, so I was looking at that success plan, but that success plan was not in line with my dreams from when I was a kid, because a lot of people think that because you get older, you have to just throw away your dreams. As you get older, you have to all that stuff is not possible. It's just like a childhood fantasy. And then I think about those same people who say that and how none of them are doing something that's enviable to me. A lot of those people aren't living a life that is something that I want or aspire to. So, but the problem was being in my 20s and everything, I'm just out here just working that job and, just distracting myself with superficial stuff, buying clothes, spending money on dumb stuff, buying video games and going out and drinking and partying and just, and everyone's like, well, what's it supposed to do when you're young? I'm like, yeah, but that's what everybody else does when they're young. And then, I was just lost, I was lost. I knew where I needed to go, but I wasn't putting forth the effort to get there. The things that I wanted to do, or that I'm doing right now in my life, is something that I should have did when I was to keep it real, to keep it in the band with you, I should have started this stuff. I knew what I needed to do when I was 18, but it took me 11, 12 years to actually start to get started, because I held myself back, because I let job security and fear and uncertainty stop me. Listen, nobody has your answers. Nobody has your answers. Not your parents, not your friends, not your coworkers, not your teachers. Nobody has your answers. Everybody has the answers to their problems. Everybody has the solution to what they need to get done. They know what they need to do. But you, when it comes to your dream and your aspirations and what you want to get done, that is entirely up to you. And one of the videos I posted earlier about, fulfilling your dreams and going after your dreams, there are people who came before you who did what you're trying to do, what you want to do. Follow their blueprint, follow their life, read about people who have succeeded in whatever it is you're trying to do, and emulate, copy and paste their blueprint to success and apply it to your life. I'm just going to come out and say it. What I wanted to be when I was younger was a writer. But I like I procrastinated a lot. I spent 12 years procrastinating, and I didn't start writing until like a few years ago. You know, this year I will be publishing my first book. I'm not gonna tell you what it's about because I'll let you guys know when it's done. But this year I'm publishing my first book, and all I had to do was just write. One of my favorite writers is Stephen King, and I watch his interviews on YouTube. I've read his book on writing. That's literally what it's called. It's called On Writing. And I've I listened to his books on Audible when I'm driving. Well, I'm a truck driver, by the way, and I also read a lot of his books. He's my favorite author, one of my favorite authors, and one of the things that he's told me was he said in his interviews that every day he just writes 6 pages. He just writes 6 pages a day. He doesn't know what the story is, what he's going to write about. He just sits down and he writes 6 pages a day. And I listened to that and I was like, it's just 6 pages. Man, out of all the times I commented on unnecessary photos on Facebook and wrote and text message with random people, I'm like, bro, 6 pages? I've had full-blown conversations with people via text that were longer than 6 pages. And I've written essays back in school that were I could write like a 2-page essay within a few hours, within a few hours, or within an hour. And I'm like, bro, so if I just sit down and just write for 3 hours, I could, be like him. I could be like one of my favorite writers. I mean, of course, there's more to it than just that. You gotta have some kind of creativity and a good story. But yeah, so that's what I started doing. That's what I've been doing. Sometimes I write 2 pages a day. Sometimes I write 5 pages a day. Sometimes I write 10. But the point I'm trying to get here is there is somebody out there who has done what you're trying to do and have become successful at it. So here's what you need to do if you want to avoid, making any large mistakes in your 20s that will basically burn you out in your 30s. Because I'm not burned out yet. I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started, man. I'm just getting started on my journey towards, my inevitable success. And here's how you can get started on yours. 1, stop listening to people who have not succeeded at what you're trying to do or what you're inspiring to do. Listening to friends, family, other people, whose opinions don't matter about something that you want to do, that you're passionate about. Like, you want to be a rapper, you want to be a singer, you want to be an artist, you want to be open your own business or whatever. Those people are going to tell you bro, you can't do that, or they're going to tell you all the reasons of why it's not going to work. But all you need is one reason that it will work. And that one reason is because it is your dream. It is what you want. It's what you want to do. And also, you gotta do, the second thing you gotta do is those 8 hours. You spend 8 hours at work. Most people spend 8 hours at work. Some people spend more, but hey, you spend 8 hours at work. You spend 8 hours sleeping. What are you doing with those other 8 hours of your day? I'll tell you what I was doing with those 8 hours during my day. I was drinking. I was smoking. Nothing illegal. Just cigarettes, drinking, smoking cigarettes, eating junk food, playing video games, farting, chasing women and everything, and a bunch of other dumb stuff that wasn't really benefiting me or pushing me towards my dream or my goal. Basically ignoring that voice in my head saying, hey man, you're a writer, get to writing. And I just kept ignoring that voice for short-term pleasures. So yeah, man, that those short-term pleasures that you continuously pursue will screw you over in the long run. So, bro, forget about that beer. Stop chasing those women. Ladies, stop trying to look for that man. Vice versa, if you're, don't worry about trying to buy the biggest, nicest, fanciest car. Stop trying to waste your money trying to impress people who you don't even know, who don't even like, or who don't even like you. Stop doing that. Find out what you want to do. And when you find out what that is, what you really want to do, and you know what it is. Don't lie to yourself. Don't say, well, I don't have a dream. You have a dream. The problem is that somebody, probably your parents, probably your brothers, probably somebody you respected and loved, told you that thing that you like to do and want to do is either dumb or impossible. So go all the way back to when you were first told that your dream cannot be real or that it was ridiculous. Think about that thing. Do you still feel that way about that thing? Odds are a piece of you does. Just think about it for a second, man, because it is possible. If somebody told you that, being a professional skydiver was a dumb career and suicidal, but it's something that excites you and then something that makes you want to go out and do it, then, bro, go do that, man. Go jump out of that plane. I'm not going to jump out of that plane, but if you want to jump out of that plane, jump out of that plane. That's your thing, then go after it. Somebody said that you want to become an actor, and they're like, man, become an actor. You can't act or whatever. I'm like, that's why they have acting classes. You want to become an actor, just go to acting classes, bro. I mean, take a chance, bro. Take a chance, bro. Like a life without risk is a life that should be dismissed. You have all the time in the world to go after your dreams and go after your goals. Right now, while you're still young, while you still have that energy, while you still have that drive, while you still got that passion in your heart. Because there's people around my age, a little bit younger, some of them around my age and older, who have given up, who have let the world beat them down, and have let society and whatever it is, make them give up on their dreams. Don't become that person. I'm not saying you should go out and become famous or become an influencer or become like some, whatever other people think is a successful life is. I'm saying that whatever it is that you really want to do not be afraid to start today. And even if you start, and even if you fail, even if you basically have a setback, because you only fail when you give up. You only fail when you stop trying. That's when real failure kicks in. I mean, you're gonna take some losses. Before you become a boss, you got to take a loss, and you can't let the world, like people are laughing at you because you tried and you failed. You only fail miserably when you technically you didn't even fail because you're still breathing, right? You're still alive, right? So find out what it is, what mistake you made, do some adjustment, and then go back right after it, man. You might have to take some classes. You might have to take some courses. You might need to find a mentor, somebody who's successful at whatever it is you're trying to do. You might have to find that person, find out where that person lives. I'm not saying stalk them. I'm not saying, show up to the house and be like, hop out of the bush and be like, hey, no. I'm saying you have to you have to go after your dreams by any means necessary. This is your life. This is your dream. Make it happen. Don't worry about job security. Don't worry about, making your parents proud and everything. Your parents want you to be safe. They tell you to go out and get a job and find job security because they want you to be safe. That's a parent's job. So if you pursue your dream and go after whatever you're trying to go after, it's going to frighten them. It's going to make them nervous. Depending on what kind of parents you have, it's going to make them nervous. But listen, man, can you honestly look at your parents or the people who are telling you, who are doubting you? Can you honestly look at their life and be like, and really look at it with envy? Look at it like, that's what I want. I mean, but more importantly, next person who tries to discourage you from your dream or whatever you're trying to do, ask yourself this question. Like, listen to them, don't argue with them, but just listen to them, hear them out, and then ask yourself this question. Well, and then take a moment and ask yourself this question. Is this person who is telling me that my dream or what I'm trying to do is, you know, impossible or stupid or whatever, or not worth it? Is this person who's telling me all this stuff, is this person living the life that I want to live? Is this person doing the thing that I'm trying to do and succeeding at it? And even if they are, even if by some coincidence this person is, you know, doing what you're trying to do and succeeding at it, you definitely shouldn't be listening to them. Because want to know why? Because people who think like that, who try to discourage you from becoming successful at something, especially if it's something that's competitive or whatever, they don't want competition. People like that, you know, like they're discouraging you, because if you win, if you do pursue it, and they see that you have a passion in your heart, and it's something that they're competitive at, and they see you, they see that same passion that they had in you, then they don't want. Some of them don't want competition. Some people are afraid of competition. So even if the person who's telling you that your dream is like not worth it, and they're succeeding at that same thing that you're trying to do, even if they tell you that, hey, like that's not, you know, like that's not gonna work, I mean, even then, like, think about it, man. Like, do they really want to compete with you? Especially if they see the passion in you, like, I want to do this, and then like, oh snap, this person might be competition one day. Definitely do it. Like, if you want to become like an athlete, or become like join your football team, or do whatever it is, or become a basketball player, bro, dude, like, and so you tell somebody else is a basketball player and they're on your team, or they're on the school team too, and they're doing, and they're telling you, man, don't do that, and they're trying to discourage you. Number one, that ain't your homie. That's your competition. So you should definitely do it, man. And if you might look stupid when you first go out and do something new. You're gonna look dumb. You're gonna look like you gotta be a novice. Before you get success, you have to be a novice. And like me, like, bro, like, I have never written a book before in my life. I'm writing my first book this year, okay? No help, no guidance from nobody. I'm just writing it, okay? I'm gonna self-publish it this year. So, you know, I mean, it might do well, it might not, but it doesn't matter, because like from this moment on, and for the rest of my life, I'm gonna write a book every year. And whether they become successful or not, it doesn't matter, because I've always wanted to be a writer. Because I'll leave you with this: whether you become rich or financially stable from something that you love to do, understand this thing. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I'll say it again. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. As long as you are doing something that is leading you towards something that you want to do or want to become, you are a successful person. And you only fail once you stop doing that thing, once you give up and you give in to the noise around you. So guys, I hope this video was helpful for some of you. I hope you guys got the message. And I hope that even if you're like, whether you're in your 20s or you're older or whatever, just remember this, man. It's never too late to pursue your dreams. Colonel Sanders was 62 years old when he stole the formula to Kentucky Fried Chicken and started his franchises. So never forget about your dreams, okay? Never think that you're ever too old to find success in life. Peace and blessings, and a prosperous day.